Yu Huang. Doesn't necessarily surprise me to see him build it, but also doesn't necessarily mean or stay as the exact thing I would expect. And, you know, Evolved Devo's Gauntlet's still going to be good here, but it has been delayed a little bit. I believe, what, recently, I think got a little boost back to the numbers that were nerfed down earlier in a couple of patches ago. So at least stabilizing a little bit, but good lifesteal. Honestly, I like this build so far from Vote because it's going to let him survive really well. He's going to hold his own in lane, no problem. You're Jing Wei already, so survival is like just there for you. Yeah, it already exists pretty easily. But now with the Wind Demon online, it's a good power spike. You get some crits early on. If you're going for a boxing match just in lane up against someone like a Yu Huang, those crits are going to give you an edge. But even in general, I think as you rotate over, the next couple of items, to me, this either means you're going to go heavy-handed in crit, or pretty much the virtual opposite, right? That it's going to be the only crit item you get. Either way, it gives you a lot of leniency in your build, and it's a really good like fulcrum to figure out how you're going to lean into the rest of the game.
Between Sam, Pagon, and Panda Cat, 3 squishy targets, so crit would chunk. But heavy-handed into crit means that Final K and PBM can itemize against that, and then the tanks are taking much less damage if they grab themselves the Spectral Armor. I know Trelly likes this style of build where you get the lifesteal, get some power with the upgrade, all of that early. Then you're able to get your crit online early, which is what you want on the Jing Wei. So a good pace to the build.
Yeah.
For Vote. See if he'll be able to make use of that at any point soon, though at level 14, feels like we still got a little while before the Hunters really rotate in and have an impact outside of maybe a Gold Fury fight. Some power spikes get hit elsewhere, though. Heart Seeker for Sam for Soccer, Hydras for Pagon. It's a little added burst damage from the 1-2 punch of the Dragon's jungle, plus mid laner. Of course, Dardes can replicate some of that. Fred has got some damage. Fine OK has beads. And Ragnarok for beads. That's a tale as old as time, and one that oftentimes the junglers will take.
Yeah, timer-wise, Kivo, that's going to give him an opening over there in solo, if he so pleases. Same thing for Dardes. You know, I didn't like it at first, and admittedly, the way it played out, it didn't work out the way they wanted to. But I still think that if you do decide to transform into someone like the Fenrir, and Kivo happens to have burned Pagon's beads, then that's going to give you openings that otherwise just wouldn't exist. Last time around, it ended up causing Dardes to be very deep, too long, and it's a very easy kill pickup for the Dragons. But in a lot of circumstances, there's at least some openings. So I'm going to keep my eyes on Dardes as well. Very Assassin-y style play style for Morgan anyway. And so it's not too outlandish to ask for something that swaps like that. That being said, I also, again, I just really love the Cullen. You had highlighted it earlier. I mean, might be the easiest call that they've ever made. 2 Spectrals already online for Vino K and PBM.
Yeah.
And that's just the kind of the deal. I mean, Dardes, you're not going to have any crit coming from mid. You're not going to have any crit coming from Fenrir. It's all on Vote. But they know where their threat is going to be. 2 of those have to commit pretty heavily to going in.
Yep. And
Vote does not. So if you can limit some of those crits, make sure that you're surviving through these fights, that's going to give you the CC necessary to fight back.
Yep.
Hi, Jasmine.
So, good counter itemization from the Jade Dragons, but also something where, again, if Vote is able to go toe-to-toe with Sam, Pagon, Panda, that's where these crits will really, really hit home. Not a Warlock staff start this time for Nika, instead right into tankiness, realizing that Fino plus Sam equals maybe needing a Breastplate of Valor. First item for Nika, and then, of course, you want Onis. You're able to roll into that sovereignty for Fino K on the flip side of physical damage as far as jungle.
Come on.
And solo laner end up rolling through. So it's 16 minutes, not much separating these squads. 400 or so gold.
Yeah.
And outside of the Morgan selling everything, buying it back, you see nothing in the gold graph there, Goran. Got one basically stable line. And not unlike game 1. As a matter of fact, almost the exact same as game number 1, except the Oni Warriors were able to pull the slightest of leads. But a couple of kills here and there. Seems like that the first round of neutral objectives that we get comfortable for the Gold Fury and the Pyromancer, ultimately will make the big difference here if they don't go down quietly and you start to see some fighting. There's a bit of presence from the Oni Warriors on left. Panda Cat, of course, safe and has beads and can float away. This is maybe one of the most boring, least gank potentially duo lanes we've got.
A lot of damage on the vote. If that ult connects from Panda Cat, that's probably just a kill outright. So good presence, I think, from the mage in the duo lane. But like you said, unfortunately, it doesn't really do anything. Even if Vote gets pulled in, maybe a Beans, Aegis, ult, yeah, you can just kind of dash away and potentially save your life. Admittedly, having to use a lot more than you did. But I'm interested maybe more in this. Final K's in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
How much trouble? Because
That's the question.
I don't take any damage.
I don't see that health bar shrinking down that much. She is salmon leafed, used everything, and double knockup. Gotta get a kill here, my God! It took 4 members of the Oni Warriors to kill off Final K. Sanford Soccer with a massive time.
Now Neil's just gonna take a little bit of poke back. And that's the kind of kill you need. I mean, pulling more in your favor, that's great for the Warriors to be able to pick that one up as well. But about halfway through the lane on solo side was when you have to decide how hard are we committing to this. And at that point, Dharmic Pillars got dropped. They were going in. They wanted that kill. It just helps that Sam came over and they were able to pick up Panda Cat. I think even, worthwhile otherwise. Getting Panda Cat, killing him off, opens up this left-hand side. And I was going to talk about Sam and specifically Ymir being the two biggest quote-unquote secure gods on the game and on the map. But they don't have much they can do. One was dead. The other one, you're not going to catch Mike walking up to the rest of the Warriors hanging out of the Fury. And so I think that that's a good play from the Warriors. And a lot of what we saw there in game number 1, but this time actually working out for them in terms of getting the objective.
Pyromancer pulled by the Jade Dragons and confirmed by the Jade Dragons. Nika trying to slow down the retreat. But the Jade Dragons at least able to get something as far as objectives go. Find themselves a couple thousand gold behind. And over 5,000 experience. 1 level in solo for the Onis. 2 levels make it. Jungle, mid, support. All of them a level or 2 ahead. As long as you're not fighting around Vote, or fighting around Panda Cat rather, who's equal to Vote. Oni Warriors feel good about where their fight lands on the map. Get some good neutral gold as well. The Jade Dragon's getting dangerously close score to the type of territory where you need to figure out where you're going to draw the line. You get the Pyromancer, yes, but you give over the Gold Fury after a bad fight. Tier 1 tower quietly to Vote. You cannot bleed out too much more gold here. The Oni Warriors are a good enough team to push this style of bleed.
Yeah, this is a team that, especially with the way they were playing last game, outside of the big objectives in game 1, they were winning the farm battle. And so this is a moment where they finally have a lot more power going into their pockets. You've got the chin size finish there for Vote. You're getting a little more prots online here for Cuvo soon enough. Dardes is going to be hitting harder, and Dardes is 4-1. I mean, Dardes has been a huge aspect of this team, and I'm keeping my eye on the Morgan for that exact reason.
Yep.
And I think a lot of opportunities, they might be able to continue chasing Mike down or turn on Finocade.
Been a lot of Susano transformations. Could be another one here. But again, Final K is so tanky, right? Final K is buying time, still setting up front. Oni Warriors not dealing that much damage to Fino. I mean, he's half health, but it took a full 5-man concerted effort. But Nika, have you overextended? Dharmic Pillars down, but walked over the wall from Polar Bear Mike. Simply delays the initiation from the Oni Warriors. Shards of Ice, no good. And another 2 kills for the Oni Warriors. They're just scrapping in the jungle. The Jade Dragons just have not been able to compete.
God.
I mean, and it's good chase down, right? I think that the team fight holds, again, for the Dragons maybe mean a lot more, but they're fighting in these narrow corridors where a lot are going to hit for the Warriors in terms of abilities. Vote has had some stellar rotations, and you're seeing the real difference. I mean, those crits ringing true, hitting a lot harder than what you're getting out of Pagon. Panda Cat, while able to get a lot of damage out there, has not been able to match. Actually, has surpassed. I mean, Jingwei admittedly hasn't done a ton. Look, next to the bottom, just barely above the Ymir, slightly below the Ganesh. But it does feel like it's been impactful. A lot of it, though, has just been Dardes. It's an easy blanket statement to make. You've got good CC coming from the RDO. That on itself is going to be very nice. Good damage, good lockdown from a Fenrir. But Dardes is getting in there. He's getting good damage in the base Morrigan kit, but then good transformations for lockdown. And then comes right back into it to continue finding those kills. So I think that we've gotten to see a lot from Dardes that has really escalated the fights for the Warriors to the point where the Dragons, I mean, what is that? That's 2 in a row where it's been a 3-0 sweep that the Warriors have picked up, and the Dragons haven't had any sort of response.
They sure haven't. It's not often that the Dragons are in that style of game. And still a few Tier 2 towers to go down on this Fire Giant buff. I'm hard-pressed to see a world where the J-Dragons... said you got to choose where you put up your defense. And over nothing in particular was the answer from the Dragons, and that fight didn't go their way. I'm not sure you can put up a defense under anything less than a Phoenix at this point. Tier 2s should go down pretty quietly to the Oni Warriors. Because really, I guess if you're the Dragon score, you're just hoping to scale at this point. You know, you hope to get to level 20,